What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 mod career mode in the Ferrari, driving as Kimi Raikkonen. We're back with episode number 5 today at the Spanish Grand Prix. A little bit delayed, I know, because I was uploading these just about, 1 or 2 days after the real-life Grand Prix, but in case you don't follow me on social medias or you're new to the channel, at the moment, I'm right slap bang in the middle of some university exams, so these videos have taken a bit less priority, been a bit delayed, but finally, we're here, but just, bear with me. Hope that's understandable. I'm literally actually posting this right in the middle of 2 exams. I had an exam yesterday and I've got an exam tomorrow, and I'm posting this video today on Tuesday, so bear with me. But we're finally here for the Spanish Grand Prix for the 2017 mod career mode with Raikkonen. We qualified in P4. Literally haven't driven this mod since the last time I recorded it at Russia, so it was a little bit off pace compared to my teammate and the 2 Mercedes cars, so they lock out the front row. But from P4 we should still be able to get a decent result. We've already got a nice bit of a lead in the Drivers' Championship, so I'm not too worried in that sense. Just need to try and get the maximum points I can today, and we'll see what we can do from P4. But let's get straight into this then. We go to 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix, and we're underway. It's been a bit of a mediocre start from us and Vettel, and equally one for Hamilton. Bottas had a whirly start. He's into P1. Also got Ricciardo on the left-hand side. He's got a good start, and the Force India of Sergio Perez. We go into turn 1 side by side with the Mexican in the pink Force India. We go round the outside of him into turn 2 as we got Bottas leading from Hamilton, Vettel, then Ricciardo closely behind. You can see we get a bit wayward and a little bit wide, and behind us we've also got Max Verstappen getting swamped by Perez and Ocon. So Verstappen in a Force India sandwich there at the moment, with Perez in front of him and Ocon behind. But at the moment Bottas with a storming lead off second place to take first place away from his teammate there. And so as we move on into the next few stages of the Grand Prix, I'm trying my hardest to chase after Ricciardo now to at least try and get back that P4 we started in. But as I mentioned, I haven't driven this mod since Russia, since I recorded that episode, so at the moment I'm basically doing a bit of practice here in the opening laps, trying to feel out the car again, feel out the physics, trying to, obviously it's a bit more downforce than I'm used to in all my other career modes and all my other driving on this game, so trying to get used to it again. By lap 4 towards the end of it, I'm getting back into a groove, but the guys ahead of me are absolutely blitzing it. I'm improving my lap times, you can see on the top right, but the other guys in front of me are in well their own, especially the 2 Mercedes cars. I think they're kind of using a bit of slipstream off each other, so they're getting away from Vettel, and then Vettel and Ricciardo are getting away from me. At least through sector 1 I'm doing well, but then I'm losing some time through sector 3, generally understeering through that tight twisting section. But you can see here in sector 1 I'm definitely catching up, really closing up to Ricciardo through as we go on towards sector 2, that split time, and then by lap 6 towards the end of it, really catching up here. And then through this entire section is where I'm losing time. But as we move on, looking further ahead, we've got Valtteri Bottas still in a good comfortable lead this Grand Prix, but his teammates closely following behind. But it looks like Bottas may be staying out, but Hamilton is going to be the one that comes in. Vettel comes in as well. It looks like Daniel Ricciardo, I think, is also come in. Yes, he has. So that's Hamilton, Vettel, Ricciardo all in. I'm going to stay out with Bottas, and I'm not too worried about that, because we've seen, if you have watched the previous episodes, generally in this mod, if you're staying out a little bit longer, the overcut seems to work quite well with some clean air and some open air. And also at the same time, you've got Perez and Verstappen all thinking the same thing. Also, a lot of these guys on medium tyres, the 2 Renault guys, and also Fernando Alonso there, obviously his home Grand Prix, trying to do the best he can. I think he's just outside the top 10, and you can see there is Hamilton rejoining with a bit of clean air. But then Vettel finds himself behind one of the Saubers, I think of Ericsson, as well as Ricciardo just ahead of the other Sauber of Pascal Wehrlein. So this is what I'm talking about. These guys may be caught up in traffic. Hamilton will close up to Alonso perhaps, Vettel and Ricciardo will close up to the Sauber of Ericsson, so they'll get caught up in traffic, so that will help us out. And as we move one lap later to when Verstappen has made his pit stop along with Sergio Perez, Verstappen's jumped Sergio Perez in the pits there, but going to turn 1, there's been contact, and Wehrlein is out of this Grand Prix. His left rear has completely broken off, and that's a very reminiscent move of the one Van Dord made in the real-life Grand Prix. Wehrlein just completely turns in on Verstappen, breaks his front right suspension off into turn 1. So very kind of deja vu move for Wehrlein, like the one we saw Van Dord make in the real-life Grand Prix. And then you can see there, that was a picture as we moved on to the next lap of the Grand Prix. That was Hamilton and Vettel and Ricciardo all closing up to this train of Lance Stroll, the Toro, I think it was Carlos Sainz, and then a few other cars there. And so that's what I was talking about. Them getting caught up in traffic. And so now as we come on onto lap 10 for our pit stop onto a set of medium tyres, we should hopefully be able to jump our teammate and Ricciardo. Probably not Hamilton, because he was far enough through to jump us. So as we move on, you can see on the top left, there goes Hamilton. But crucially, on the top left, continue to look, because there you can see Vettel is not going to overtake as we move on to this panning shot, confirming there is Vettel, there is Daniel Ricciardo, and we have jumped both of them there. And so now we're in effective third place here behind both Mercedes cars. Hamilton closing right up to Valtteri Bottas there, but we have jumped 2 cars in just one pit stop doing an overcut, so that's worked out brilliantly for us. But it's going to maybe work out for us even better, because we move on through the final corner. Vettel's chasing us down, but up ahead you can see Bottas having to make a move on one of the Renault cars. I think it's Palmer, surprise, and then we've got Hamilton who gets held up by Palmer. So Hamilton sticks behind the Renault for one more entire lap, so that's really going to help us out. You can see immediately we closed up so much more to him, and also Vettel and Ricciardo behind us. So we move on one lap later, we can see that Hamilton's really getting hindered through this swooping right-hander. He takes a wider line, getting hindered by dirty air, and we're right up his gearbox, but that in turn is actually, unfortunately, going to ironically hinder us now with some dirty air, because I don't get the best line, cut the corner a little bit through that right-hander. That unsettles the car a little bit, doesn't give me the best exit, and so now Vettel is going to have DRS. Even though I have DRS, Vettel's had a far better exit, so here he comes on the right-hand side. So we go side by side, 2 Ferrari teammates, so we're going to have to do some defending. And up ahead, Hamilton is not able to overtake Palmer, surprisingly. We go swooping around the outside of our teammate Vettel and re-overtake for 6th place there, just about making it. So nice side-by-side action for us 2 Ferrari guys. So far the battles all season long so far between me and Vettel. But yeah, look at this. Hamilton unable to overtake Palmer in a straight line and in the corners here so far. So very surprising. And this is once again going to help us just stick behind as much as we can to Hamilton. Eventually, though, towards the end of that lap, on towards lap 13, it was inevitable that Hamilton gets enough speed with DRS. He's going to pull out in the slipstream, down the inside into turn 1. And this is actually going to help us overtake Palmer. We actually have to brake check ourselves. And Palmer actually hinders us massively. We actually break off a bit of our nose cone, I think it is, as we tap the gearbox of the Renault guy. So Palmer really being a thorn in everyone's race, because look at this, he goes down the inside and tries to make a move to re-overtake me. So Palmer clearly, I don't know, doesn't feel like he has the pace to challenge us, so he's just trying to hamper us as much as he can. It's no use. I mean, he may as well run his own race. But anyway, so we get past Palmer eventually. Up ahead, this is Bottas, and he, unlike Hamilton, unlike myself, unlike Vettel, he pit onto a set of soft tyres, so he comes in for an earlier pit stop. Hamilton continues on, I continue on, Vettel continue on, and Ricciardo as well, all on medium tyres we are, whereas Bottas was the only odd one out who went for soft. So he goes for an earlier pit stop, so that may help him potentially, because he may get a nice undercut now on his fresh medium tyres. But we continue on trying to chase down Lewis Hamilton now, who will be in first place. We're in second by lap 16. We're closing him up into turn 1. You can see we generally, as I mentioned before, we got a good pace through sector 1, but we just lose out on the rest of the lap, and actually through this right-hander, having to lift off a tiny bit, not going flat out as much as I want to. And then by the end of lap 17, Hamilton comes to the pits. He actually extended the gap a little bit, so it was a little bit unfortunate. Just didn't seem to have that pace in the second phase of the medium tyre. So we continue on mediums though, as does Vettel. So both of us now continue on. We're to 1-2 for Ferrari now. So generally the Mercedes cars looking like they may wear out their tyres a little bit more, potentially. But eventually on the next lap, Vettel does come in. So now I'm just the one leading the way in first place, going a lot longer. Remember, I went longer on my soft tyres, so it's kind of logical I can go longer on these mediums. Eventually we do, though, come in at the end of lap 19 now, one lap later, for a set of what will be soft tyres now. You can see behind us, Ricciardo opted for hard tyres, Vettel opted for hard tyres. Unfortunately, obviously the mod can't really recreate what we saw in real life, whereas which was most teams ignoring the hard tyres because they just weren't that, they didn't give enough performance in real life. But that's something that the game can't kind of recreate. But at the moment now, surprisingly, I don't know how, but it's Ricciardo that leads the way on hard tyres. Then it's Valtteri Bottas, I think this is, yeah, on hard tyres. Then it's Felipe Massa. We come out ahead of Sebastian Vettel still, so good to see the undercut didn't work for him. So we come out ahead chasing the Brazilian in the Williams car. There's Vettel behind us. And then where is Hamilton? Hamilton's there, only going through turn 1 now, down the inside of Nico Hülkenberg. So Hamilton's had an absolute mare in the pit stops and on his outlap and in-lap. So I have no idea what went on there. We don't have any replays, unfortunately, of what actually happened to him. Just seemingly very bad pace. So at the moment, somehow, Ricciardo's now leading the Grand Prix. Bottas is there. Then it's Massa. Then myself, Vettel. and Hamilton had to make an overtake on the Renault car. And then we're closing up on Massa here, but unable to actually overtake him with DRS. So just like real life, DRS and the drag being so high that I'm unable to close up on Massa down the straight. I thought I would have, but I was surprised that I wasn't able to, even on a 2 compound difference there on lap 21. So we're going to have to try and make the move potentially in sector 2, trying to line up a move. Obviously the Ferrari will have better downforce than the Williams car, trying to get out of his dirty air and his kind of hot air from the exhaust plume, trying to get some more grip. You can see there through that left-hander actually got brake check because it is starting to rain here, but we're going to make a move down the inside of the Brazilian, hit the apex, lovely, side by side with the Brazilian in the Williams car, and Massa is done there, and we're up into 3rd place, but through the right-hander now, up the hill. You can see the rain is coming down, so it looks like it will be Inters to maybe potentially end this race. So at the moment, it's still Daniel Ricciardo in 1st place, and sorry, that wasn't for 3rd place, that was actually for 2nd place, and look at that behind us, Vettel and Massa go side by side in the same place, funny enough, that Vettel and Massa came to wars in the real-life Grand Prix. That's actually, that's quite funny, actually. Vettel gets held up in the same place Massa held him up in the real-life Grand Prix. And, unfortunately, unlike the real-life Grand Prix, Vettel's still going to stick behind Massa, but both of them come into the pits. So I'm guessing that'll be for the intermediate tyres. Here goes Bottas, and actually, I need to say sorry again. That was actually Ricciardo in 1st place. Bottas was 2nd. I forgot about that. So we did indeed overtake for 3rd place there. But Ricciardo stays out in 1st place on the hard tyres. I, obviously, you can see clearly, stay out for the soft tyres. And I think that's the correct decision, because although Bottas, Massa and Vettel made that earlier pit stop for Inters, the game didn't tell me that DRS was disabled, and generally on this game, when it tells you DRS is disabled, that's when it's time to come in for Inters. So I think this is a correct strategy for us. We continue on for one more lap. I didn't feel like there was bad pace or bad grip, so I felt okay. So we continue on, and we've now only come on to intermediate tyres. There goes Bottas. He was already ahead of us anyway. But crucially, as we come down the pit lane, you can see the gap now on the mini-map to Massa and Vettel has been extended quite a bit there. So as we come through turn 1, you can see I've gained a lot there, actually, time-wise, on Massa and Vettel. So I think that's been the correct strategy for us. And so at the moment, surprisingly, it's Daniel Ricciardo, the Australian, in the Red Bull car, struggling in the Red Bull car so far this season. That will lead the Grand Prix. Then Valtteri Bottas, then myself, as Kimi Raikkonen, obviously. Then you still got Vettel being held up by Massa, then Lewis Hamilton, then you got Hülkenberg, Sergio Perez, then you got the other Renault and Force India, and then to round out the top 10, it's Lance Stroll and Carlos Sainz at his home Grand Prix to be in P10 at the moment. And so on the intermediates, really, it's not a story of what we can do, it's really a story of what other cars are doing. And so Sergio Perez makes a move down the inside of the Renault car to get up a place for his race. And then crucially for Hamilton and for the championship, Hamilton closes up to Sebastian Vettel, who's still being held up by Massa at this stage. This is around lap 20, I want to say 27, 28, I think. And so Hamilton gets enough slipstream, no DRS obviously, just pure slipstream and tow, down the inside of Sebastian Vettel, the place where these two went side by side in the real life Grand Prix, and Hamilton's able to squeeze out of Vettel and gets up the order for what will be, I think, P5, I think that is, and then he'll chase down Felipe Massa, and then 1 or 2 laps later, he closes up on the Brazilian in the Williams car, once again, just pure slipstream and tow with that Mercedes car, goes down the inside of the Williams guy, and down the inside into turn 1, squeeze him out, and that will be him up into P4 now. So Hamilton on a charge. Obviously, he went down the order earlier on, so he needed to make that for his championship there. So we move on to lap 32. Pretty quiet Grand Prix for us in 3rd place. And looks like we're going to have to settle for 3rd place there with Ricciardo first and Bottas second. But as we come through, it looks like there's an issue there for Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo leading the Grand Prix, but he's got an engine issue. Smoking engine. So as he goes up into sector 3, climb up the hill, he's going to have to surely park it up. Yes, he does. Engine issues. He parks up on the left, and there goes Valtteri Bottas into 1st place of this Grand Prix. Such late drama there in the Spanish Grand Prix. So unfortunate for Daniel Ricciardo. That is such bad luck for the Australian there to literally be leading for most of the Grand Prix, really, since the dry period on hard tyres and Inters. And there you go. On the second last lap of the Grand Prix, he has to park it up. The Renault engine failing the Red Bull team, failing the Australian, and he's out this Grand Prix. And it's not been a great Grand Prix for his teammate as well. So all round, a horrible Grand Prix for Red Bull Racing. It means Valtteri Bottas comes through for 1st place. I come home in 2nd place with Raikkonen, and 3rd place is Hamilton, surprisingly. So That's actually been a great Grand Prix for Hamilton to come back from what was P6 to P3 eventually to be on the podium to join his teammate for a double podium for Mercedes. But that's a great Grand Prix for us. I will admit we fully got very, very lucky there, but it's a great Grand Prix for us. Again, consistency so far is what's going to keep us in that lead of the championship. But a great Grand Prix for the two Force Indias, and a few of you guys commented last time out that the Force Indias need to be kind of bumped up a little bit, and so there's been a few tweaks in the mods. So the Force Indias double points paying position there for them. And also in the Drivers' Championship, you can see we're leading the way from Bottas. Even though Bottas did win, we've still got a commanding lead because we've had such good consistency. I don't think we've ever been outside the podium positions, I want to say. I can't remember exactly, but I don't think we've been off the podium so far in this season. So very good consistency for us. Vettel 3rd place, Hamilton 4th, Max Verstappen 5th, and Hülkenberg in 6th. And then this is something that you guys also commented on last race, was that Stroll and Massa, Stroll was way too good compared to Massa. And what I actually found out was there was actually a mistake in last episode in Russia that somehow the names got switched, and it was actually, if you look closely in qualifying at Russia, Massa qualified ahead of Stroll in Russia, but then when we got to the race it swapped, and so I've corrected that. I've given the points that Massa would have technically deserved in Russia. So now you can see Massa is closed up to Stroll, and they're kind of side by side in the championship there. And then the constructors, it's looking like very much a kind of a replica of real life. It's all Ferrari and Mercedes up front at the moment. Ferrari have the advantage by some points, with me and Vettel doing a good enough job, but it's looking like, obviously, very much like real life. It's going to be Mercedes v Ferrari all race long. And so far, I know it looks like quite comfortable for me at the moment, but there are a lot of races coming up where I'm not as comfortable. I'm thinking ahead to races like Austria, Baku, where I'm not going to be as good as the AI, I can already tell you, because I'm really not that great at those circuits. But I'm looking forward to the next ones coming up, because we got Monaco and Canada, which generally are quite strong circuits for me and versus the AI, so I'm looking forward to those. But if you have enjoyed that episode, smash the like button, guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. But I'll try my best to bring out more regular episodes of this. I am still in the middle of my exams, but once those end, hopefully I will be bringing out this career mode a little bit more rapidly, and I'm hoping to finish this well before the end of June, actually. So I will be bringing out a lot more rapid videos of this, guys. So if you have enjoyed it, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for weekly foreign content. I've been Ever. Hope you enjoyed today, and I will see you guys next time.